Hello there, it's Phumlani Majosi, the author of a new book, Lessons from Past Heroes. It's great to be back on my show, the Phumlani Majosi Show. This is econCHAT. As I told you last time, that we are going to focus in this segment on South Africa's economy, right? And to talk about what are the opportunities, talk to people who are out there on the ground, whether it's economists or business people, people are trying to make an impact and trying to understand our socio-economic issues. Last time we spoke to economist Davi Root, the chief economist of Efficient Group. We were speaking about the economy under the government of national unity. And today I'm speaking to Mr. John Dludlu. He's the CEO, the chief executive officer of the Small Business Institute. Mr. Dludlu, how are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Phumlani, and thank you for inviting us. We are good. And yourself?
Pleasure, I'm good, man. It's wonderful to see you. We were just chatting earlier. We once met at one point years back. And it's I think it must have been before COVID, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while, long time ago. Things have changed. I think you and I have seen what's been happening in the country from COVID to the new politics that we see now with this government of national unity after the election we had last May. My question to you, Mr. Dludlu, you are the CEO of the Small Business Institute. I spoke to the other day to Kevin Lings, the chief economist of Stanley, and I was asking him, Kevin, how have small businesses and SMEs basically, how have they been doing over the past 5 years or so? He said they were not doing well in the economy. There were many things that they were facing, including, of course, the load shedding issues, security. You could go on. I mean, from your perspective, Mr. Dludlu, how do you see small businesses in South Africa, or I should say SMEs? How are they doing in the economy?
Phumlani, I think we're all imaging, whether it's households, big business, and small businesses, we're all imaging from the last 5 years of hardship. What has been happening in the last 5 years? The old underlying conditions, such as late payment to small businesses by government, departments, organs of state, big businesses. And then, of course, we had a very high interest rate environment, recessionary conditions, and it's only now, obviously, then there was COVID, which brutally smacked small businesses in the country and affected big business as well as households. And there was a bit of help that did arrive, but it came very late during COVID. And then, of course, as we emerged from COVID, we had the worst form of load shedding. Last year was the worst for both households and business and small businesses. So we are emerging now. It is only now that the cost of living crisis is being elevated very slowly. The Reserve Bank has done to cut rates. Our view is that I think the bank has been overly cautious. We could have done with a 2 percentage point cut now. And there's obviously space to organize a special MPC meeting to reconsider the position, the monetary policy position, to just assist small businesses to recover and to assist the invested households as well. So where are we now? Well, I was quite surprised. Business Partners normally does a study, an index, confidence index by small business owners before the election. It shows very positive sentiment that small businesses, even though it was not clear what sort of government we're going to have and whether the ANC will stay in power or not. Small business owners were very hopeful about themselves, their businesses, and themselves as individuals in South Africa. Now, that was the first quarter of the year before the elections. Things have somewhat improved. The worst fear that we had was we're going to have an inconclusive election, and we're going to have the instability that we've seen in metros being translated to the national and provincial government level. We haven't seen almost 4 or 5 months down the line, we are seeing stability. And the confidence levels are growing, I think, by the economic operators in the country and the investment community. So the environment is improved.
You're saying it's positive, eh? The environment.
I think it's positive.
Yeah.
We also saw in the last 2 years, my chairman was appointed by the president as the red tape reduction advisor. We began to sort of talk about what was wrong with red tape. I mean, in one study in 2013, we estimated that as much as about 4% is spent by small business owners on compliance, whether it's bylaws, regulations, and policies. That's quite a lot. Our preference as a small business is that small business owners should spend time in their businesses, and they should spend time with their customers. They should spend time with suppliers and employees instead of running around with compliance. Hopefully, that red tape reduction effort continues both at provincial levels and at national level, and more importantly, at the local government level, where it matters.
Yeah. It's very interesting what we are saying, Mr. Dludlu, on compliance, the cost in terms of money for businesses to comply, in terms of time as well, and many macro issues that you've touched on a bit. You've also mentioned the interest rate as well. I mean, I have seen I have held the view that if you really want to get an economy that is thriving, that is growing faster, you need to get SMEs right, in the sense that you need to ensure that it creates an environment where they are growing fast, where there is less red tape, where they don't have to spend time, running around, complying, having to pay a lot of money to comply with government regulations. But I mean, at a macro, what are the policy areas where we have this GNU now, this new Government of National Unity? My hope, Mr. Dludlu, is that things should change, right? And I have been on this show and in my, because I'm also a public speaker in the conferences I've been speaking at. I have been saying that I want to see changes, right? The statistics must go in the positive direction. I want to see unemployment going down. I want to see business confidence going up. I want to see criminality going down. But what do you think are the policy areas that this new Government of National Unity should focus on for SMEs to thrive and to grow in the country? Any things, maybe 2 or 3 you could outline?
Yeah, I think I share your sentiments that if you fix the environment, if you have an economy where small businesses are doing very well, it's almost a no-brainer that big business is going to thrive as well. So will translate out, so will government departments as well. What are the 2-3 things that can be attended already? I think the permitting and the licensing environment. We saw during COVID the positive impact when the president said the informal traders do not need to apply, do not need to renew their licenses. They're there for 2 years. So there was certainty in that environment. And then what you took out as well is you took out the human intervention element. In other words, you do not have to go and spend money in queues waiting for your license permit to be renewed. It's a very positive impact. So if government said, for example, your license is ready for the next 5 years, and in between that, obviously there is proper enforcement of safety and hygiene standards. There are spot inspections so that you comply with safety standards and hygiene standards, and you avoid the current situation where children are dying in townships because of food poisoning. That would have sent a very serious positive impact into the economy. It will add quite a lot of certainty. What else can be done? I think if we reduce the compliance burden as well, and we continue two provinces that are doing phenomenally well, KZN, the Western Cape and KZN are far ahead as far as red tape is concerned. Then the third element is what's our main problem in the country? It's unemployment. It brings in criminality and corruption and all sorts of and poverty. Now, if we wanted to address the problem of unemployment, let us remove just one thing, the compliance burden as well, where if you are hiring 50 people, you get excluded from so many things. You get exempted from complying a batch of legislation, especially around employment and labor law. Now, just said, let's go employment and then go that require.
Your sound is going a bit down now, Mr. Dludlu. Can you maybe put the phone a bit closer or speak a bit louder?
Yeah, is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now. I think it may have been your mic, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying, if we just said we have a problem of unemployment in the country,
yeah,
and there would be no new requirement for compliance if you hire more people to incentivize small businesses to hire more people. So those are the three things that I'll do. And then obviously the other thing that I think is quite important is to get onto the supply chains of big businesses and to create opportunities to market access. Is what I'm talking about. And we've seen quite a lot of improvements as far as the competition commission is concerned. A year ago, it provided exemptions, block exemptions, that if small businesses cooperated, they will not fall foul with the competition laws.
Sorry, if they were what? If they were what? Yeah.
If they collaborated on research and development and on production, they will not fall foul with the competition laws.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Because if you cooperate, it could be deemed as collusion.
Yes, of course.
Now,
yeah.
Very progressive step was to say, let us give small businesses an opportunity to cooperate on production as well as on research and development, and they'll be exempted from penalties and fines by the competition authorities in the country. So if we continue with that mindset, I think we'll unleash the power of small businesses, and we could take a make a big impact on the problem of unemployment. And then we have been advocating as SBR that every time government thinks about new legislation or new regulation, and they think about removing one first, so that we don't go.
Yeah, I like that. I
Because
like that, Mr. Dludlu.
yeah,
Yeah,
let us just say what has become useless.
yeah.
Let us remove that, and then we do a trade-off for policymakers to be able to introduce new laws and regulations. And let them not grow it. Let them take away one that already exists, but has
Mm,
outlived its usefulness. So if we had that mindset among all policy makers, government departments, I think it would really unleash the power of small businesses. The last point, I mean, let us pay our suppliers on time. Let us pay our small businesses on time.
mm,
During COVID, and I think this is still applicable now, if you've got a supplier, a small business supplier, who's been on your books for the last 5 years, you know their quality of work. Why don't you just advance them and give them 50% of the invoice, even before they have provided the service or they have provided the product, because you know their quality of work. So let us incentivize them. You know, by doing so, we will take away, to reduce the size of a new industry, which is called invoice discounting. Invoice discounting is when you have a tender or contract, um, to fulfill it, you go and borrow. And then, of course, the lender then gives you money so that you fulfill the invoice. But they take a portion of that invoice. So that
mm,
industry, I think, will not be as big as it is today if we just said we'll pay our suppliers, pay them on time, and then we'll advance them so that we ease the effect.
mm,
Very
yeah,
simple, creative things. They don't
mm,
require change of law. They don't. It's just creative thinking.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Mr. Dludlu, I have been saying for a long time that if there's only one thing that politicians love, it's passing more laws and more regulations. They love doing that, Mr. Dludlu. I mean, every now and then you hear more laws have been passed, more compliance requirements, and so on. And all these things they impose a huge, negative impact on business operations, especially SMEs. Big business, they can afford to comply with this. They do have the resources. Many of them, they do have the money. The balances are looking
Yeah.
good. But if you're an
You've got an
SME,
employer.
yes, yeah.
You've got a huge compliance department.
Yeah,
We, as small business, do not have the luxury of hiring compliance officers.
that luxury doesn't exist. This is the Phumlani Majosi show. I'm speaking to Mr. John Dludlu. He's the CEO of the Small Business Institute. He's a man on the ground trying to reshape South Africa's uh, business environment, trying to make things better. And as he has said, jobs are critical. Addressing the issues of unemployment is very important. And SMEs are critical in doing that. Remember to get yourself a copy of my book, Lessons from Past Heroes. It's available in bookstores across the country. It's also available on Amazon as well. And you can also, if you are based in Johannesburg, you can buy from me. I do have copies, and of course, you're going to get a good discount. And of course, it's going to be a signed copy. So please do support guys like us who are trying to make an impact, along with the likes of Mr. Dludlu, who is having a chat with me here. Mr. Dludlu, I read something. Please confirm this for me. And apparently, it's from one of your reports, where you say that 90% of businesses in South Africa are classified as SMEs. And then it also says that SMEs employ between 50% and 60% of the workforce, and that SMEs contribute about 34% of the GDP, right? Which is really significant. Can you speak around those numbers and what do they mean exactly? And
Yeah,
you know, how should people think about? Because I mean, I guess if we hear such numbers, we can begin to think
yeah,
that look, we really need to get SMEs right because they are really the employers out there and they contribute a lot to GDP.
yeah. I confirm the first key set of numbers.
Mm.
98, over 95% of registered businesses are small businesses in South Africa, which basically means that we are an economy of small businesses. Yet the employment contribution of small businesses is not uh, um, in line with global trends.
Oh,
Very successful, very successful economies uh, tend to have generate around 70 to 80% of jobs from the small business sector of the
wow.
economy.
Mm.
It's not the case in South Africa. In South Africa, the biggest employers are government, big business, state-owned enterprises, not small businesses. We have to reverse that trend. We have to be like other economies. And there is an aspiration in the National Development Plan, which says that by 2030, which is a mere 5 years from here, uh, the bulk of the jobs, 90% of the jobs, new jobs, must come from the small business sector.
Mm.
And for us to achieve this aspiration, we need to be generating 39,000 small businesses, sustainable small businesses every year. And we are not. The um, the trend is the highest number of deaths of small businesses tend to happen within the first 2 years of starting a business.
Wow.
This is
Mm.
according to numbers supplied by the Department of Trade and Industry Commission. We need to ensure that there is proper support mechanism, both financial and non-financial support, so that we really prevent the death of small businesses in the first 2 years. Once you have overcome the first 2 years, everyone wants to be associated with, whether it is banks, uh, uh, DFIs, development finance institutions, because you now have a proven track record. But to start and run business tends to be the burden of entrepreneurs. They go their life savings, they go to friends and family to borrow. They hardly ever go to banks, certainly not in the first year, because you don't have a proven track record. So everyone tends to shy away from you.
Can you please emphasize the one about the banks, Mr. Dludlu? You are saying that they are reluctant to go to the banking sector to borrow the funds because of what are the key problems? And maybe to add on that,
Yeah,
there is this talk now by some about politicians have been talking about this, about the idea of a state bank, that there should be a state bank, and they racialize the whole issue that the state bank should give, you know, money cheaply to black
yeah,
people to
yeah,
do business, to do whatever. Um, I have felt, Mr. Dludlu, that we already we have too many SOEs. This is my view, and we've seen the mess that they can cause in the country, and we've seen the fiscal pressures that they've put us through. And how about we focus on trying to invest in smaller banks from private citizens, right? Trying to create a competitive market when it comes to banking. But I guess my question on the first part about you are saying they are reluctant to go to banks to get the money, the SMEs.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So the entrepreneurs do go to banks.
Mm,
They do go to the GFIs, but it is hard to back a horse, an untested horse.
mm,
So the DFIs, both the DFIs and the banks are very risk averse, and we don't
Ah,
have a culture here in the country. We don't have a culture of venture capital like in other countries, say in the Western world. Um, Here we are just way too risk averse. That's why the, 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 the startups tend to be funded by friends and family or my retrenchment package. When I get retrenched, I tend into an entrepreneurship. Uh, but I'm unlikely to get my first loan from the bank. It will always come from either my friends and family, or it will come from uh, non-traditional lenders. So part of what we need to change, create an enabling environment for small businesses to thrive in South Africa. We need to start making them, start making startups as well in the country. And now you refer to the idea of the state bank.
mm,
Um, I don't think the state bank would create, will make a huge difference. You have GFIs, but it is so hard to get money out of GFIs. The entrepreneurs talk about waiting for about 2 years with an application from
mm,
a GFI.
mm.
So
Sorry,
the
Mr. Dludlu,
same,
can you tell us for those who don't know what DFI means, briefly?
yeah, GFIs is development finance institutions, and they
Mm,
tend to be owned by the state. An example would be National Empowerment Fund, and then the Industrial Development Corporation, the Land Bank, um, state, a small enterprise finance agency, and the Public Investment Corporation, and the government employees the pension fund, um, and
So,
you
so
then
Mr.
have
Dludlu, we already do have
government.
all these institutions you are mentioning. Instead of making them work, guess what? They are thinking we should start another institution called a state bank. It's just why
Yeah,
don't you make these ones work?
it's worse than that. Pilar. What we are having now
Mm,
is there is a huge restructuring project to merge three institutions, to
mm,
merge the Small Enterprise Development Agency with the Small Enterprise Finance Agency and the Cooperatives Bank as well. And this makes me very nervous. The process has already been delayed once.
mm,
The board of the new institution is an interim board, um, and people are leaving because of career uncertainty. And
mm,
uh, start a new agency, start a new bank, um, no money will ever come out. I mean, it took 2 years to set up a new institution called the um, Border Management Authority, BMA,
mm,
even though we knew how porous and how leaky our borders were, that we desperately needed this institution. We just don't have a culture of creating new institutions in South Africa. So I would be quite nervous and reluctant to support the establishment of a new institution. Uh,
mm.
Even with the best of intentions, we just don't have a track record of setting.
Yeah, and it wouldn't make it should be another cost, Mr. Dludlu, another cost that us taxpayers have to finance again, but that would make things better. It's very much,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think it will make the lives of entrepreneurs any better. While
Mm,
the
mm,
institution is set up lawyers are going to benefit, consultants, management consultants are going to benefit, HR consultants are going to benefit, auditors and accountants are going to benefit, not necessarily small business owners. I'm afraid I do not support the idea of starting.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
make the current work.
Yeah, yes, let's make the current ones work, right? And if you can reduce them and make things work even much better when they are being reduced, that should be great. That should
Yeah.
be great. Mm. But how do you we have 5 minutes now, Mr. Dludlu. Well, basically 4 minutes. Um,
Yeah.
how do you see, are you hopeful for SMEs in this GNU, this new era of coalition politics, this new government of national unity? Do you have an optimistic view that things are gonna, go better for SMEs? How do you see things now?
You know what worries me, Phumlani, is I am happy and excited about the stability that we've seen, that we haven't had massive walkouts of political parties or ministers resigning. So that's a positive that I see. And hopefully the president survives
Mm,
um, the knives within his own party,
mm,
and that we can see through 5 years of stability. What worries me a bit is the fact that we have ANC policies.
mm,
Government is implementing ANC policies. The DA or any of the parties never asked the ANC to change any policies. I mean, the only two policies that or laws that appear to be sticking points are first the Bella Act
mm,
and then the National Health Insurance. But as for the rest of the policies, these are the tried and tested and failed unimplemented policies of the ANC over the past 30 years. So that borders. And also the civil service will not change.
mm,
It is the very same civil service that lacks capacity to implement things. So basically, we have a new government, but more of the same implementers, which have largely failed the last thing to implement things. So that borders that we may have the policy, we may have the inertia that we're continuing through the seventh administration.
Mr. Dludlu, thank you, sir. Those are very powerful words. I share your sentiment. You make very, very important points. That's why I always tell people, look, let's wait and see what happens. We can't just be optimistic, jump around and say things are gonna get. We do not know. Let's see if there are any changes here. But I mean, you are spot on. So thank you so much, sir. And I really appreciate that you took time to talk to me this week.
No, thank you very much, and congratulations on the new. I can't wait to get my hand on it.
Thanks, Mr. Dludlu. It advocates for small businesses. And by the way, the Small Business Institute, it is cited in the book. So when you buy the book, look for Small Business Institute. You'll find it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Because we've been doing great work. Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Majoka. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. This is the Phumlani Majosi show. Remember, I'm on X at Phumlani M Majosi, and please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. And support. It's at Majosi Show. I'm also on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page, Phumlani M Majosi. I'm on TikTok at Phumlani M Majosi. I'm on Instagram at Phumlani M Majosi. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Phumlani M Majosi. Please do connect and do get yourself a copy of my book, Lessons from Pause Heroes. It's festive season, so add it on your shopping list. We'll chat soon.